Hey there everyone, Noir here and welcome to Fan Theories. Before we begin, if you are new to this series or if you haven't seen Catghost, I would highly suggest pausing this video and watching those first, because throughout this series I will be referring back to previous points that I've made to improve upon them. Otherwise, let us begin. Here we are at episode 11, which is called Confrontation. This episode begins with a scene of a staircase accompanied by various pieces of text from a conversation, presumably between Nara and Beth after she happened upon the ritual we saw at the end of episode 10. We only see Beth's side of the conversation, not Nara's, and at the same time Beth's sentences change from being misspelt to being correct, and I honestly don't have an answer towards why that could be. At first I thought it was code based on the letters that were incorrect, but AOA doesn't seem to lead to anything. There's also some sentences of pure anger and hatred which appear to be from Gideon, a very different take on the character than the bumbling hedgehog we normally see, or tree stump depending on the season. However, the reason behind his personality change over time is what's interesting here. What was it that pacified him so much? It's possible that we have already been given the answer to this in the second episode. He has spent countless years, if not centuries, being mentally beaten into submission as penance for his judgment on Elon and Nara. We then cut to the dinner table with the family trio, Nara, Beth and Gideon. Nara compliments the food in an attempt to appease her parents so that she may be allowed to venture outside again. Clearly, what we're seeing is a retelling of the events leading up to the trial after the ritual took place. Then we see Elon digging as Malone stands by and watches over her, which is actually decent evidence towards Elon being the child that was digging around in the village that was mentioned in episode 6, as well as her being the character that you play as in Dark Cavern. What's quite interesting about this is that it could mean that the wagon she ran away from was one of two potential things: a wagon leading to the cavern, or a wagon just leaving town. Which means that Elon could have been running away from the labour that she was forced to do, or she may have been running back to the village. At this point it's unclear which is correct, but considering that we learned in episode 8 that Elon is likely a Romany, also known as a gypsy, I'm opting for the former. My reason for this is down to the history of early colonial America, which had Romany slaves that were banished from the United Kingdom. We have already been told that Elon in fact hails from Ireland, which helps to verify this assumption of a heritage. Moving back to the episode, Malone says something very important towards a possible answer of why the main trio are stuck in their dimensional loop. You know how this works. You can't take something without giving something in return. This is called the law of equivalent exchange. You can't create something from nothing. In order to create something, in this case with magic, you have to have the ingredients to exchange for it. If you don't have the necessary ingredients to hand, they'll be taken from something else of equivalence, and based off this rule being recited to Elon, this adds further evidence towards what Elon and Nara's collection of souls was for. I believe that before their deaths, Elon and Nara were attempting to bring about a way to give them either more power or perpetually prolong their lives. Hence, the sacrifice of Azul the dog would have been what was being used as a tribute for exchange. But clearly, something went wrong. Perhaps it was because the ritual was interrupted by Beth and Gideon, or it could be something else that we saw a while ago in Banana's game, the words Protectus a Glacis. As I mentioned in the Fan Theories episode discussing the game, a Glacis is a demon that has the ability to teleport people. So here's my thought. The ritual worked, but not as intended. With the death of Elon, the words Protectus a Glacis were uttered, which started the loop, and once they died, their souls were transported to the first loop that we see. Technically, the ritual was successful. They achieved eternal life. However, the manner that their lives would play out from then on would be a repetition of their time in the dimension, a dimension that's always doomed to end and be reborn. I think that this is because the exchange was not sufficient enough. One dog for perpetual life in terms of equivalence is incorrect, so instead the ritual takes the very essence of the dimension in perpetuity. The reason why Elon and Nara were looking for souls, as well as the evidence of Gideon clones, which could also be used as conduits for this, would be because they're attempting to satiate the ritual's equivalent exchange. But that's not how it works. If they were in fact attempting to achieve eternal life without being reborn, they would need an infinite amount of souls, which is impossible to maintain, hence the dimension's death and rebirth. Malone also mentions the mirror, which could mean that Malone is actually the one who gave Nara the idea to use the mirror on Elon in the first place. Then we see a representation of Nara's final moments as Beth pleads with her in an attempt to stop her execution. She asks Nara to tell them that she was forced to partake in the ritual at the behest of Elon, but Nara declines and the execution takes place. The episode ends with Malone explaining to Elon that life is a series of failures, and the ones that are eternal are also the ones that are never forgotten. Then Malone says that if Elon left the dimension, it would be the best thing that would ever happen to her, even though she would regret it for the rest of her life. As a result, Elon says that it's time for her to grow up, and she walks away, seemingly leaving the dimension. This leads me to believe that the ritual was solely intended to further Elon's lifespan, and if she leaves, not only will she stop the degradation of the dimension, but she'll also lose Gideon and Nara, and perhaps she'll die once she's left entirely. Now then, this episode's game. It's called Pertinence, and it focuses on the point in the story where Elon ran away from the wagon. If you walk back to the wagon, the game ends. But if you keep walking away from it, you'll traverse through various landscapes and states that Elon is in during her journey, all the way up until she's crawling on the floor, dragging herself towards Malone. This finally confirms the timeline of their meeting. Elon met Malone and began training to become a witch after she ran away from the wagon, which means that the reason for running away that I mentioned earlier regarding her slavery and forced labor in the cavern is indeed the most likely candidate. It's very possible that this may be the last time we see Elon. And that brings this analysis to a close. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, let me know what your thoughts and theories are in the comments section, and even if you didn't, let me know how I can improve the series for you. Until next time, people, keep on surviving.